Hello, my name is Marla and welcome to Newcastle Library's Story Stomp Online. Today we're going to read a very wonderful story written by Newcastle's very own Layla Rudge. We're going to be singing some songs and doing some activities and having lots and lots of fun. So let's get started with our acknowledgement of country, because here at Newcastle Libraries we are on Awabakal land. I'm going to clap along and sing. Do you think you can sing the words back to me? Let's give it a go. This land we're gathered on today was cared for the Aboriginal way. Awabakal, they were the tribe, caring for this land through time. Now this land we all must share. Mother Earth needs love and care. Good job, everyone. I'm going to say some words in Awabakal now. I'm going to say Nyang Duman Awabakalumba Ani Barai, which means we acknowledge we are on Awabakal land. All right, let's do our story stomp song now. Rub your hands together and can I hear your very biggest claps? We're going to do some stomping as well, and we need to nod our head and make a funny noise like this. Can you do that? All right, we're ready to sing. If it's story stomp today, then clap your hands. If it's story stomp today, then clap your hands. If it's story stomp today, then we'd better shout, hooray! If it's story stomp today, then clap your hands. If it's story stomp today, then stomp your feet. If it's story stomp today, then stomp your feet. If it's story stomp today, then we'd better shout, hooray! If it's story stomp today, then stomp your feet. If it's story stomp today, then nod your head. If it's story stomp today, then nod your head. If it's story stomp today, then we'd better shout, hooray! If it's story stomp today, then nod your head. Stomp your feet. Clap your hands. Shout, hooray! Good job. It's time to find out our letter of the day. Let's see what it is. Do you know what this letter is? This is the letter P. It makes a sound like this. P, 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 p. Here we've got our big P and our little p. Can you think of some words that start with a P sound? What about poppy or pram? Princess starts with P, or pants. Or I can think of a bird that starts with a P sound, a pigeon. Today's story is all about pigeons. Have you seen a pigeon before? It's a grey kind of bird and it's got some very special feathers around its neck which look all rainbowy and can change colours. You might see pigeons on busy streets in the city. They like to hang out there so that they can find lots of delicious crumbs to eat. Our pigeon today in the story is called Gary. Gary is a very special type of pigeon, a racing pigeon. Have you ever heard of a racing pigeon before? Pigeons are very clever at finding their way home, so sometimes people train them to race. They put them in a basket and take them far away from home and let them go, and then they see how long it takes for them to fly all the way back to their pigeon coop, which is where they live. I wonder if Gary is a good racer. Should we find out? So Gary is by Layla Rudge, Newcastle's very own author and illustrator who has made this book, and it's published by Walker Books. Let's have a look. What can we see here? I can see some maps of the city. This one here is a train map and some tickets, a bus ticket and maybe a train ticket here or a ferry ticket. Looks like there might be some adventures in this book. Most of the time, Gary was just like the other racing pigeons. He ate the same seeds, slept in the same loft, and dreamt of adventure. There's all the racing pigeons. They've got their special little racing vests on. And this is Gary over here. Gary's got a little hat on. and Gary's looking at some maps. Maybe Gary's planning a trip. But on race days, when the pigeons set off in the travel basket, Gary stayed at home. To pass the time, he organised his scrapbook. He had a collection of travel mementos from everywhere. And you see that Gary has some sticky tape and is sticking down the maps and the tickets into his special book. Except Gary had never been anywhere because Gary couldn't fly. The racing pigeons usually returned just before supper, and they always discussed wind direction and flight paths or waypoints. Gary loved hearing about their adventures. He would perch nearby and record everything in his scrapbook. He's got his pencil there. I think he's making a map of where they've been that day. Until one night, Gary leaned a little too far and lost his balance. Uh-oh, there goes the ladder, and there goes Gary. His scrapbook flew up into the air, and Gary fell down to the bottom of the loft, and they both landed in the travel basket with a bump. Up, in they go. The next day was race day, and Gary was a very, very long way from home. Can you see that the little red car has travelled all the way into the city, and there's the basket with all of the racing pigeons and Gary inside. By the time Gary woke up, the sky was full of feathers and flapping wings. The racing pigeons were racing! Except Gary. Gary didn't go anywhere because Gary couldn't fly. There he is, down at the bottom of the basket. Soon the other pigeons were just dots in the distance. They were flying back to the loft. Gary wondered if he would ever find a way home, or if he would be lost in the city forever. It's a big city, isn't it? Look at all those tall buildings. Gary's collection of travel mementos always perked him up, so he opened up his scrapbook. Gradually, the city came to feel a little more familiar, and Gary felt a little less lost. Remember, Gary's got all of those maps in his scrapbook that show how to get around the city. Before long, Gary had plotted his own way back to the loft. Can you see the dotted line on the map? This is showing the way that Gary's going to go to get home. And I can see some transport tickets here. There's a train ticket and maybe going over the river on a ferry and on the bus as well, all the way back home. Gary arrived home just before supper with all sorts of new travel mementos for his scrapbook. And the most adventurous adventure story. Gary couldn't fly, but Gary had been everywhere. There's Gary getting off the bus with his map. Most of the time, Gary was just like the other racing pigeons. He ate the same seeds, slept in the same loft, and dreamt of adventure. But on some days, the other pigeons were just like Gary. Can you see all of the pigeons are catching the train today instead of flying home? I wonder what the other passengers think. There's Gary sitting on someone's hat. And that's the end of the story. Did you like Gary? Gary went on lots of different types of transport, didn't he? Have you ever been on the bus or the train or the ferry? I know a song about a bus. Do you know it? It's called The Wheels on the Bus. We're going to do it a bit differently today. We're going to learn some sign language to sing our song with. Would you like to learn the signs with me? You watching? So when we sing wheels, we're going to make a sign like this. This is the wheels going around. And we're going to do this one for bus. This is like we're steering the big handle, the big steering wheel of the bus. And we're going to go round and round. And when we say all day, we're going to put our arm like this and go up. That means day. Shall we try it all together? Let's have a practice. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round all day long. What else do we have on the bus? The wipers. Can you make the sign for wipers? That's the way. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 swish. The wipers on the bus go swish, swish, swish all day long. I think that there's some babies on this bus. This is the sign for babies. Can you rock your arms like you have a baby? And the babies are crying. They're going, wah, wah, wah. You ready? The babies on the bus go wah, 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 wah. The babies on the bus go wah, 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 all day long. Who else might be on the bus? Do you think that Gary might be on the bus? Let's learn the sign for bird. Can you make a little bird beak like this up near your mouth? This is our sign for bird, and this is our sign for flap, because Gary's going to go flap, flap, flap. You ready? The bird on the bus goes flap, 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 flap. The bird on the bus goes flap, flap, flap all day long. All right, let's honk the horn now. This is the sign for horn. The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 beep. The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, beep all day long. Good job, everybody. All right, I'm going to show you how to make something now. You might like to try making one of these after Story Stomp. I'm going to show you how to make a very special Gary feeder, so you can have Gary come and visit you in the garden. So what I've used to make my Gary feeder is a craft roll or an old toilet roll, and I've put some peanut butter on it. So this is just an activity to make sure that no one in your house is allergic to peanut butter first. If they are, you might like to use some different kind of spread to stick all of this delicious bird seed on with. So I've just put the peanut butter onto the roll, and then I've rolled it on a plate in all of that yummy bird seed, and I've tied a string through the roll. You could use a paper towel roll if you want to make a really big one. And then I can hang that up in the tree, and all of the birds can come and have a delicious lunch. You might even see Gary coming to have a bite to eat. It's time to sing our goodbye song now. Thank you for joining us for Story Stomp. Do you have your waving hands ready? Let's sing our song. If it's time to say goodbye, then wave your hands. If it's time to say goodbye, then wave your hands. If it's time to say goodbye, then you better give a sigh. If it's time to say goodbye, then wave your hands. But we all know hands go la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da. We all know hands go la-di-da-di-da. They don't just wave goodbye. Thank you for joining us at Story Stomp Online. Don't forget to check Newcastle Library's webpage and Facebook page for lots more story times, rock and rhymes, and lots of fun activities that you can do at home. Nunda kumba kumba, everyone. We'll see you again. Bye.